What's up, guys? My name is Seth, and along with my partners Becky and Owen, today we're going to be talking about VMware. What is VMware, you ask? VMware is a company that specializes in virtualization and also products for that virtualization, and specifically the product that we're going to be talking about today and how to install it is the VMware Player. Now, for those of you who don't know what virtual machines is, that's okay. We're going to explain not only how to install it, but we're also going to have an interview with a virtualization expert and also some explanations as to the other services that VMware provides. So bear with me, and we're just going to jump straight into it. I hope you enjoy it. So for the installation, what you're going to want to do is open up your browser, and you're going to look for Google or whatever internet browser you use. I like Google Chrome because it's not trash like Mozilla Firefox. And just go to your Google search or Bing search and type in VMware Player. And you see it's a company that's going to basically give you help for not only IT professionals but anybody using it. So here's where we go. So you click on that, you download the VMware Workstation Player. And the great thing about this player, it is free for anybody who is a non-commercial entity. So as long as you're not running a business and trying to make money off of it, if you're a home user or a student, then you can use it for free. It's great. So what do? We're going to download it. Obviously, I have Windows. I'm going to download it, give it a little bit, and we'll just wait for that to. Okay, so it's installed. Click it, obviously. So the dialog box doesn't show up in the screen caps, so we'll just pretend everybody knows what a UAC is. So we're going to click yes, obviously, on the UAC, and bam, there we go. Okay. So we loaded up the install. And here, I want you to pay important attention to this part right here. It's going to ask you, after you return, accept that, blah, 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 blah. It's going to ask you, do you want enhanced keyboard driver? You don't necessarily need this feature, but basically what it does is if you use Control-Alt-Delete while you're in your virtual machine, normally it would tell the Windows operating system that you're running it on, whatever operating system, to use Control-Alt-Delete. It would pull up the task manager. But if you install the enhanced keyboard driver, you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to pull out of your VM. It's going to do whatever. So if you're running Windows inside of Windows, it'll only pull up Task Manager or whatever inside of the virtual machine. So I went ahead and installed that. Again, you don't have to, but you might as well. You can always disable it. So yeah, we're going to install it. Make sure we got enough room. We're going to install it to the desktop and the start menu just so we can access it. Obviously, you can just search menu for it, but I like to make it as easy as possible, for anybody who isn't familiar with this kind of stuff. So it's real quick that it installs. Let's give it a second here. Obviously, this has been less than 2 minutes, and we're almost there. So that tells you it's pretty easy. Pretty easy. Just has to install the drivers. There's a good amount of drivers in here because it has to be able to recognize a lot of different kind of stuff. So we're installing it. Okay, we're going to finish. And then we're going to reboot the system, obviously. You always want to reboot after you install a program for the most part. Just do it. Don't be impatient. Just do it. And that's it. It's installed. Done. Easy. Now let's talk about some of the other aspects of VMware and the VMware Player specifically. But first we're going to go into an interview with my uncle, who is also a cloud expert.
Hi, I'm Arthur Aubrey, and I'm a real-life practicing cloud architect. I've been dealing with virtualization and cloud since 2003. I have worked on multiple projects for federal agencies. If you're a State Farm customer, you land on a cloud with 40 million others that I designed and 8,000 contractors in India built. If you're in the United States Army and you're out on the battlefield, I designed a portable data center that fits in a number of backpacks so that they can create a cloud in a box out there to fight off the bad guys. And I've done neat stuff too, like put a VMware cloud on top of 7 Mac Minis as a trial to learn about the technology so that eventually I could build a data center of VMware on top of Mac Pros for a, well, we'll simply say one of those agencies that neither confirms nor denies anything.
How does VMware benefit the security of a user or an organization?
There is a version of VMware exists on smartphones, Android and iPhone, that your employer ends up creating a virtual machine inside. So as long as you're employed, and as long as it has a connection back to some security authentication devices, you get your company email, you get your confidential and privileged information, you have like a machine within a machine connected with a special VPN back to the mothership. Mm-hmm. The instant this physical device is lost or compromised, it can disappear. So from a security perspective, a VMware product creates a machine within a machine on my Android and iOS, so the company can give me their smartphone or smart device. That's a very common application. It started in the defense community and the intelligence community.
How can VMware Player benefit an IT student or someone new to virtual machines?
Here's an example. You're developing a web application. So you can create, if you have enough RAM and processor power, you can create multiple machines with the VMware Player. You will create a web server. Maybe you also create a database server because it talks to a database, so you want to see how that works. Then you'll create a standard basic PC, a Windows 10 machine like a kid would get for his middle school or high school work, and log into that little standard machine and test it, the user interface test, against your virtual web server to see that you did it right. That's very common in the developer area. Yeah.
How much processing power is ideal for running virtual machines?
As much as you can get. There are minimums, and the minimums change. The minimums are actually getting smaller in some cases. But, 7 Mac Minis, for instance, I built that Mac Mini cloud running a basic 4-core processor, which is like you see in a laptop, with 16 gigs of RAM, times 7, 112, spread along across 4 machines.
How does VMware's software and services compare to its competitors?
It depends on something called IT business management. And it also is an assessment of the quality of your technical people. I had a project for a federal agency. They were running VMware. They were very upset because VMware licenses for that agency were very, very expensive. Now, they had looked across the media and saw that NASA was using OpenStack. So they said, wow, we can too. So I was charged with doing a number of evaluations. One was technical. Could the software provide the virtualization infrastructure for their variety of machines? They did a lot of research, so they had a lot of one-off, very, very large scale computing machines. Things like 150 processors that had to be virtualized. In other words, their software needed 150 virtual machines to run. Yeah. So they said, wow, VMware doing that is very expensive. Let's use OpenStack, open source. And technically, actually, the OpenStack solution was better in terms of performance. It was about 15% better. And so you say, wow, look at the money we're not spending. But then there was a problem. Where do you get and can you afford qualified OpenStack engineers? NASA can afford them because they have people with PhDs in computer science running around. And they don't mind working 20 hours a day because they want to solve problems. This federal agency had a culture of, hey, I show up at 8 o'clock, I administer my cloud, and then I go home at 4. Those are not the kinds of people who will work 24 hours a day to solve a technical engineering problem, which in OpenStack you have to solve because there's no help desk to call. I recommended the agency stick with VMware because they couldn't afford to pay the engineering talent. It's the devil you know, which is so many millions of bucks a year to VMware, or the devil you don't know is how in the heck are we going to recruit 150 to 200 engineers that are going to want anywhere between 150 and 200,000 a year. Okay, outro. Okay, can I toss in a pearl of wisdom? I want to thank, are you ready to record?
It's already recorded.
I want to thank you for this opportunity to have a discussion with my friend here. But I want to leave you with a few parting words. I have 2 daughters. They grew up in a technology business, the family business. And I told them straight out, if you go to college and take technology courses, I'm not paying for it. Now, why would I do something like that? Through my life in IT, I found out that technology comes and goes. And if you're smart, you can learn it fast and sometimes on the fly. But the ability to communicate via writing, presentations, and public speaking in the end is what will make your career a long career and a prosperous career. Because otherwise, you'll get to be somewhere in your mid-30s, early 40s, and some kid just like you are today who has nothing else in his life but the time to study some technology will blow you away like what happens with linebackers in pro football. So that's my words to the wise.
Now that you've seen what VMware has to offer you in a home environment, you might be interested to know what their enterprise solutions are. VMware offers many solutions for consolidating your hardware and gaining efficiency within the workplace. Whether it be data storage, networking, or application servers, VMware has a product that you can use. Their most popular being the hypervisor ESXi. ESXi is the father to the virtual machine creator we have discussed previously in this video. ESXi can be thought of as an operating system that is focused on creating virtual machines normally found installed on servers with obscene amounts of RAM. This is because RAM is normally a limiting factor when it comes to creating large amounts of virtual machines. It is very useful to know and understand how VMware products work because as time progresses, more of what we use will be pushed to the cloud. And currently, VMware is a top player in the cloud market. Now, conceptually, virtualization is hard to understand, but if you work hands-on with it, you'll find that it's easy to grasp and can be utilized in many situations. With that said, if you have a spare computer at home that you're able to tinker with, maybe add some RAM to, I highly recommend playing with VMware's vSphere. Now, vSphere is a free hypervisor which offers limited functionality when compared to the ESXi, but it's enough to get you hooked on the virtualization world and really understand what's going on. Now, with all that said, I welcome you to the Q&A section.